Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Rialto is a game designed by Stefan Feld and published by TMG Games. TMG Games was an instant buy of games for me before they went out of business. If they put a game up, I knew I was instantly interested in it, and it's one of the board game companies I miss the most. Stefan Feld is a very famous and famed designer. When you're a famous designer, you're going to have peaks in the mountains, and you're going to have valleys where games aren't as good. Rialto is somewhere like right in the middle to me. It's what we call a solid design. It's a good game, but not a great game. And in this world of great games, I can only keep either my favorites or a theme I like, which is not this, or a really, really, really good game with a boring theme, which is not this. This is just a good game, not a great game. It's an area control game. Once again, we're back to that. Not something I thoroughly enjoy, although there are some that make the cut, and I like to explain and talk about games I don't like or a genre, because sometimes I do like them, or I can tell you what I didn't like about them. You may be just like me, or maybe different. You like all area control games. This one left me a little too constricted. It left me a little too... I couldn't move my guys in around enough, and I felt restricted. You get it? That's the game, and I could plan out a little better, but I felt out of control at times. I felt like I couldn't get to where I wanted to be, and I wasn't always able to do things, and I just felt a little bit too restricted in my movement. Now, some people are going to say, hey, that's the game. Enjoy it. Plan for it. It wasn't fun, and that's where I kind of sat with this one. I felt like there were different strategies to win. One time I was winning third place and everything. I think I ended up winning the game, and that was a neat that there was different strategies to win. I think that's a plus for the game. I just never felt like what I was doing was like, this is a big moment, or I'm having fun doing this. This is interesting. I felt it was like almost area control by the numbers. I think that's what you're going to find here. There's a point salad. There are different ways to score points and different ways, strategies to win. I think that's a plus for the game, and Stefan Feld, what else would you expect? It just fell a little flat for us. We played it quite a few times over, I think, 4 or 5 years, and it's just one that I don't think we're ever going to pull off again. So it's definitely going to be a purge. The theme, the look, just the gameplay, the area control, none of it really worked for us. So it'll be a purge for us. Here's Rialto, which is a TMG game put out by Stefan Feld. And what you get when you get it, this box art to me is very boring. I mean, it shows the gondola. I don't personally like it, and this is not one of the deluxeified versions from TMG. They don't exist for this game, as they hadn't done that yet. Here's the rulebook, which we'll take a look at in a few. You're going to get a game board, which we'll take a look at in a minute. You're going to get these little small cards. This will be what you're utilizing during the majority of the game, and you'll be playing with these. And they have different little symbols on them, pictures, the symbols in the corners, and we'll take a look at what they do later. You're going to get some coins that are cardboard. You're going to get a whole bunch of wooden bits that you'll be utilizing during the game. Very generic, nothing in particular here. You're going to get cardboard tile buildings, very thick. You can see the different little buildings that are on them and the icons that will be used. And you're going to get these little player boards that will hold your buildings. They're not really needed. You know, you can count to 7 on your own. They are no differentiation between colors. And they just kind of sit on the board, on the table and count things for you, I guess. And you're going to have these little tiles that will be used. Everything is good. You know, nothing is overly thematic. I'll show you the board here. It's not the prettiest of boards. You're going to see the area here that you'll be trying to control. Your buildings will sit here, and you have a place to put your supply and a track and the victory points around it. I think some of these are, you know, they're the right colors. Like these two colors are very similar. These two are very similar. It's kind of hard sometimes. Oh, it goes all the way over here when you're trying to track it. It's just a little confusing. I'm sure it's for thematic purposes, but it isn't the most user-friendly part of it either. Here's the rule book for the game. You're going to have the component and the pictures of them at the beginning. That's a great plus. You're going to have a picture of setup, which is great with all the directions there, and an overview of the flow of the game right there. Then you'll start getting the more details of the 2 phases. It takes you through each of the cards. You'll have this page open a lot because it gives you all the bonuses. You're going to have just the phase 3, which is activate and the cleanup and the end of game and how everything scores. It is to be noted there's a 2-player variant. You do have to play with the dummy players. I don't really consider that a 2-player game. And then the buildings, you also need this page quite a bit to go over the buildings until you memorize them all. I wish there was a player aid with this page and the card page with the bonuses listed on it. You'll memorize them quickly enough, but a player aid would have been fantastic. It is of the note that you do have the round summary right here, but it still doesn't go over the bonuses that you're going to get. People are constantly asking for the book, or what kind of bonus do you get for that one, because the gondola one's a little weird. So it's just a little bit that would have been nice for a player aid. So this is what setup is going to be like. These little tokens here that will have the round numbers on it will be randomly assigned to all of these.
and you'll put this black wooden piece on whatever area you're scoring first. Your supply here will be all of the people that aren't being utilized. You're going to have a number to start the game, and all of the buildings will be here. I put one of each just for a scoring mechanism. And then what you'll do is, however many you're playing, you'll put on this track, and then you'll also put a scoring on the 3 victory mark. Now, note that it is kind of hard to score these because it's between these that are the spot. I wish they would have had numbers on them or something a little bit easier, or if the lights would have been the place, but it's in between the lights that you're scoring. It's kind of confusing. I don't like the functionality of that. In addition, you have your 5 victory point markers here, and you have your Doge markers there, and then you're ready to play the game. So it's important about the buildings to know about these really quickly. So in phase 1, any green buildings you have, and this is just a supply, but you'll have them on your own player boards, you can activate the green ones in phase 1, the yellow ones in phase 2, and the blue ones in phase 3. So what's going to happen first, I'm going to kind of push this out of the way at first, is you're going to draft cards. So the deck of cards will be shuffled, and you're going to put out 6 cards into a row, and you're going to have the number of rows equal to number of players plus 1. So in this case, if we're playing a 2-player game, just to keep things simple, let's do a 3-player game because 2-player has additional rules. So we'll be playing with a 3-player game. We will put 4 of these out. So in the order of the Doge marker, which will be your initiative order, players will get to choose one of these rows. And when you choose one, you take the entire row. You take 2 off the top of the deck. So it should be 6 plus 2. And any cards you had left over from last round will be included in this. And that will be your hand. And everybody will be able to take a set of cards, and that will be the cards that they'll be playing with for the round. What you'll do now is you'll go into phase 2. So in phase 1, you could have activated these green buildings. So let me go over what some of these will do, and I'll show you what each one does. Whenever you're drafting those cards, there will always be one row that isn't taken, because there's always number of players plus 1. So this card allows you to take 1 card from that row that wasn't taken, or 3 off the top of the deck. At this point, everybody would have to discard down to 7 cards. Remember, you get 8 every round. This one would allow you plus 1, so you can keep 8 cards in your hand. Remember, if you drew the extra one, you'd have the 8 that you drafted, 6 that you drafted, the 2 you got off the top of the deck to make 8, plus 3 off the top, so you could potentially have 11 cards already if you had just one of those buildings that you activated, and this one will give you a plus 1. This one, the level 3, gives you 1 card from the deck or 3 from the top plus a plus 1. So it combines the first 2 buildings, and the level 4 building gives you everything that the level 3 does but a plus 2. So now I can keep 9 cards instead of that. Now whenever you want to activate one of these buildings, if you have them from them, you will have to spend a coin. A coin will go out over the top of the building. You can use each building once per round of the game, and it will require a coin to do so. In phase 2, you will go through this track over here and you will play different cards. So let me show you kind of what those cards will do. This is the Doge card. You will go in player order. Player order is always the order up here on this track. If you're on top, you will go first. Whoever's further along will be first. So in this case, if we were doing yellow, white, and red, yellow would go first, then white, then red. If red was on top of yellow, it would go red, yellow, white. So these cards, however many you play, if I play 2 of these, then I would move my track up 2. If I played the most, then I would get a plus 1. So I would move 3 instead of 2 if I played the most cards. The second one is the coins. This is very easy. For each coin card I play, I get a coin. If I play the most, I get an additional coin. So if I played 3 of these and 3 was the most, I would get my 3 coins plus 1 to make 4. So coins and Doge work very much alike and very simply. Number of cards, if you have the most, it's a plus 1. The next type of card would be the building card. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated. For each building card I play, I get, let's say, a point towards building. If I play the most, I would get an additional one. So if I played 3 building cards and they were the most, I would get 3, 1 for each card, plus 1 for playing the most. I would have a value of 4. Which means I could buy one of the 4 buildings, the value 4 building, which you can see right here on the card, right here on the tile, will tell you it's a building 4. I could not buy a 3 and a 1. I can buy 1 building unless my amount is more than 4. If my amount is more than 4, then I would, so let's say I played 4 cards, which were the most, so I have a total of 5. I would buy a 4, then I could buy 1 of the 1s. That would give me a total of 5. That's the only way I can buy more than 1 building. And those buildings would go on my sheet. I could have a maximum of 7. If I ever have more than 7, I have to give one up, and whenever I give up, I get that number of victory points. So if I gave up a 3 to put back into the supply, I would get 3 victory points. But remember, it always costs a coin in order to play these. The next card is the bridge. For every bridge card I play, I'm able to get a victory point. If I play the most, I will get an additional victory point. So let's say I played 4 of these, and they were the most. I would get 1 for each card, so that's 4 plus 1 is 5. Then I would be allowed to put out a bridge tile. And a bridge tile is basically going to have 2 numbers on it, and they're not always the same, and I can place those on any of these open spaces on the board. And what that's going to do is mean, for right now, whoever at the end of the game, whoever's the majority will get 6 points. And as things start to add up, let's say multiple stuff out here, so whoever has the most here at the end of the game will get 6, 7, 8, 9 points. Whoever has the second most will get half, rounded down. And whoever has the third most will get half of what the second place person got, rounded down, and fourth will get nothing. So you will have some control over what will be scored by playing those bridge cards. The next card is the gondola card. The gondola card is how I get my people out of the supply into my personal supply. I will get 1 per card played. So if I played 3 of these, I would take 3 out of the supply and they would go into my personal supply. That's going to be important for the next type of card, but let's finish the gondola card. If I play the most gondola cards, I also get to put out one of these gondola tokens. Now these gondola tokens are always going to be 1 for 1, and once again, they will help scoring just like the bridges. But what's in addition to this, if I have the most, let's say I played it here on this 4 and this 5, in addition, I get to take another person on the supply, and I can put it in one of these areas, whichever one I think strategically will help me the most. And that's how the gondolas work. The last type of card that can be played is the councilman. And what this card will allow you to do is take people out of my personal supply and put them on the board. Now I can only put them in the location that we're doing for this round. So in round 1 would be 1, in round 2 would be up here, and round 3 would be here, and those are randomly set up at the beginning of the game. So for each councilman card that I play, I can put somebody out. So if I play 3 of those, I can put out 3 people. Now, let's say I only played 2, but I had played the most, I would get to put an additional person out. So if I played 2 of those councilmen, I would put 1 out for each card, and then 1 additional one out of my personal supply for playing the most. Remember, you're going to get points at the end of the game for having the most here. The last type of card that could have been played was a joker card. And a joker card is just played in addition to any other card when you're playing it, and it adds additional ones. So in this case, if I played these 2, I would have 2 councilmen. Now, you can never play a joker by itself and just say, hey, this is a gold, unless you have 2 of them. Now, if you play 2 jokers together, and I don't have any gold cards, I could say during the gold phase that this is my gold, but it will only count as 1. So you can burn through your joker cards, but it might be a way to get something you otherwise couldn't draft. In phase 2, you can always pay the yellow ones. This one allows the turn to skip you so you can go last, and it gives you a coin back. Remember, you have to play a coin. This one allows you to take any type of card, place a coin on it, and it can be a different type of card. This one gives you a free joker. You just put a coin on it, and now you have additional joker card. And the most powerful one takes 1 card type and makes it 2 of a different type. When phase 2 is over, you move to phase 3, which is basically just playing the blue buildings if you have them. This one allows you, if you have a card, so let's say you had a level 2 building and you had a level 1 blue. I can put a coin on to utilize this. Then I can take my level 2, take it back, and immediately upgrade it to a 3. So this gives you 1 free upgrade. It costs a coin, but it gives you an upgrade to a different level immediately. Keep in mind that these are worth victory points based on their value at the end of the game. Number 2 is simply it gives you a victory point and allows you to take 1 out of the supply. Now, if you ever need to take somebody out of the supply and there isn't one, you get a victory point. Level 3 building allows you to move up to Doge marker, and you will move up depending on what place you're in. So white is in 3rd place. He would move 1, 2, 3 spots. Let's go back. If this was yellow, he's in 2nd place. He would move up 2 spaces, while red is in 1 for 1st place. So that's what a level 3 building does. Level 4 building for a coin just gives you 3 victory points, and that's how those buildings work. Then after the round is over, you will flip this over, move him to area 2, so now when you play council minutes, well, they'll be played to, and you continue on with the game. And that's how you play.
should buy this game. People looking to collect all Stefan Feld, maybe you want Team G games, you really like area control games, this is what you might like. This is one I would say probably try before you buy. There's so many good area control games on the market. I don't know that this one, with a generic kind of feel and generic kind of look to it, would be one I'd recommend to you. Purge for us.